Hey, what's up? This is my lovely iPhone, and for the past few months, I've had the iOS 14 public beta loaded onto it, along with my watch, my iPad, and my computer. And so now that I've had some time to get to know the new features and really learn what's going on, I want to talk about what I like about it and maybe what I'd like to see changed before these betas become releases. Starting on the home screen here, I love the new widgets. And although there aren't very many third-party widgets yet, I love the music widget. Having my music front and center like that is really nice. And I'll be honest, I don't really use the fitness widget. And seeing as how it's 2 o'clock and I've gotten 5 hours of my stand goal. Anyway, but actually on my home screen, I only have my favorites bar and these 4 apps. And I actually really like that. It simplifies things to such an extent that my process is very streamlined and I can easily access the things that I need to get to, but can't be distracted by the things that might not be the most beneficial at that given time. Now, moving on to the app drawer, I love the app drawer. In fact, I only have 1 page of apps and the rest of it is the app drawer. I do sort of wish you had a bit more control over how your apps were categorized, because some of the apps that I use more frequently are hidden deeper within the folders. I love that you can access a lot of the main ones from the main app drawer screen, but if I want to go into productivity, there are a lot of apps in productivity that I use pretty frequently, and it would be nice to be able to control which ones show up first and which ones show up later. And of course, if you swipe down on the app drawer, you get access to a search, as well as an alphabetical list of all of your apps, which I really love. But why is it alphabetical? If I want to find something, I'm just going to search for it. What if it was a recently used or most commonly used apps instead of alphabetical? I think both of those would be a bit more useful, to me at least, and probably more useful to a lot of people. Moving on to perhaps my favorite feature in iOS 14 is the new compact UI. To an extent, we saw this in iOS 13 as well, with the volume rocker only taking up a portion of the screen in the side rather than front and center in the screen. So starting with phone calls, and this applies to FaceTime as well, I believe, but instead of taking up the entire screen when you get a call, it just pops up like a notification would in the top, which is so much nicer. I just love it. When it comes to Siri's new compact UI, it's just a little orb in the bottom there, which I love, but I wish it still wrote out what you were saying as you said it, because it's super handy to know, okay, Siri didn't respond the way I expected. What did she misunderstand me saying? It's definitely helpful, and I think it really helped enhance the usability of Siri. What I do love about the new Siri, though, you can have Siri open and still use your iPad as you would normally. Now, when it comes to picture-in-picture, I have a bit less experience with this because I don't pay for YouTube Premium where it enables that. But when I have used it with things like Netflix, it's really handy to have, and it's awesome to be able to watch something while having something else open. You can also do this on FaceTime, which is really nice because before it would show your camera as paused when you closed out of FaceTime while FaceTiming someone, and my friends would always find that as rude. So now when you close out the FaceTime app, it still pops up in the corner of the screen and it doesn't pause your camera, which is really wonderful. I'm glad to see this is a feature that they're finally adopting, and hopefully I don't insult my friends as much anymore. We'll see. Speaking of FaceTime, that actually transitions me into another favorite feature of mine, which is the camera and microphone notifications. So whenever an app uses the camera or the microphone on the phone, it pops up a little bubble right in the top corner. And then you can go into your control center and get more information on what app is using those features and how long they've been using it for. And it just keeps me in control of what's going on my phone. And as long as we're in messages here, I can actually show you another really awesome feature, which is inline messages. Now, this does only work with other people who have the iOS 14 beta on their phone at the moment. If you text it to someone who doesn't have the beta on their phone, it just shows up as a normal text. But this allows you to mention people and reply to previous texts which is super useful in a group chat where somebody in the group chat said something and then somebody else instantly changed the subject. It allows you to respond to them and essentially quote their text so people know exactly what you're talking about. Another really cool thing within messages is pinned messages. Now, this allows you to pin some of your favorite chats up on the top where you can easily access them, and they aren't organized by date. They're instead just organized as you put them up there. Before this, I was always searching for certain chats because apparently my friends seem to think that I need to be in every single group chat around. So certain chats would get lost in time, basically. But really, in summary, iOS 14 is just really cool. I love it. It's got a much cleaner look with a lot more like icon continuity and just looks a lot better across all the platforms. Of course, it's more secure with the camera and microphone notifications, and it's just generally easier to use. It's very streamlined, and I'm really excited to see it rolling out in a few weeks here. Now, moving away from the phone and the iPad a bit, I do want to talk about some of the other OSs that were released at WWDC earlier this year. Starting with WatchOS, which is a pretty minor update with some just very specific things that I've noticed about it, which I don't know, I don't mind them. They're sort of cool. I don't know if it's worth a whole nother iOS update, but I'm not complaining. Right off the bat, I've noticed that my battery has been draining a lot faster than it normally would, which either I loaded on an app or something, I don't know what happened, but like this used to make it through at least a day and a half, and I'm now having trouble getting it through a day. I hope they fix that before this releases, because otherwise that might be an issue. Perhaps the main new feature that they added in this update was sleep tracking, which I'm going to talk about more in another video, but for now I'm just going to say it's cool, but I don't know. I do like having my alarm on my watch. I never thought to try that out before, but the way that they implement it with the haptic feedback and slowly waking you up, it's actually really nice. And maybe try it a few times if you have an Apple Watch, but it does make it a lot more difficult to charge your watch. You do have to increase your logistics to find a time when you can charge your watch, whether that's during breakfast or before bed or sometime. You do have to charge your watch at some time other than while you're sleeping. But other than a few Siri updates, it seems like the biggest update that they made was the new hand washing feature. Yes, you heard me, hand washing. Welcome to 2020. Now, as much as I appreciate this idea, and I do actually really like this feature, I've had trouble getting it to reliably turn on when I'm washing my hands. Maybe my water sounds weird, maybe my soap sounds weird, maybe I wash my hands completely wrong, but it seems to only work maybe 20% of the time. When it does work, it works really well, and when you stop washing, it can sense that, and it encourages you to wash for longer, which it's pretty cool, but that doesn't make up for the fact that it doesn't work 80% of the time. But the alternate part of this is the reminders to wash your hands. So it actually reminds me when I get home, if I haven't washed my hands as soon as I get home, I get a little notification saying, why don't you wash your hands? Which that is actually really smart. But moving away from WatchOS, let's talk about macOS as well. And it's had some controversy. Some people really like it. Some people really, really do not like it. I personally like it. I love rounded rectangles and low contrast, but maybe it's not for everyone. I can understand that. And there are some questions about accessibility out there, whether that could impair the usability of people who are visually impaired. But I, for one, actually really like it. Really, my only complaint with Big Sur is the control panel, because it seems like with the bars for volume and brightness, it seems like those are made for a touchscreen, and when you implement them on a mouse and a non-touchscreen, it's a bit difficult to use. It's not very like Apple, to be honest. But that's just my 2 cents. Again, Apple, if you're one of my 80 subscribers, yeah, you can do whatever you want with this, honestly. There are a few features that I'm looking forward to that they haven't really released yet, because I guess it would require every device to be on that operating system. I don't know yet. But I haven't gotten them to work, and from what I've read, they haven't actually released them yet. One of the features that I'm looking forward to the most is adaptive lighting, because I have Philips Hue in most of my rooms. Hey Siri, turn off the hallway. Hey Siri, turn on the hallway. Anyway, adaptive lighting would mean that it would change color temperature as the time of day changes. So it would start as very cool in the morning to help wake you up, and as the day goes on, it would supposedly warm up to help you wind down in the evening. I don't know, I just love that idea, but it seems like it's not released yet, or you can't get it to work as of yet. Another one with a similar problem that I've had is the automatic switching on the AirPods, because along with the spatial audio on the AirPods Pro, which I don't have, I can't afford that, is the automatic switching, where it's supposedly supposed to switch between your devices seamlessly depending on where you're playing stuff, which I'm not really sure how that's supposed to work, but it doesn't matter because I can't get it to work anyway. So here we are. And when it comes to my suggestions, I obviously don't expect Apple to do anything about them. A, I doubt they'll see this. And B, it's just not the Apple way. Usually what you see at the beginning of the beta is basically what you get at the end. That said, if you do like these suggestions, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. So thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.